We're about to rewire your mind entirely and leave you unable to feel doubt ever again. Imagine you wake up tomorrow and you have taken that pill and you can no longer feel doubt. It's not there anymore. You think, oh my goodness, I can achieve my goals. I've not got this thing holding me back anymore. Because this is the reality. Most people feel stuck in life, overwhelmed, anxious about their goals, or depressed because of what they've missed out on in their life. That stops today. I mean it. By the end of this video, I will give you an entire step-by-step of what to do very simply, and you do need to practice this. It's a simple thing that you practice every single day, and from there, it's going to eliminate doubt in your life. Will it eliminate fear? Of course not. You're still going to have some fear in your life. Fear is a good thing. I live on the 7th floor, and it's good that I have fear, because if I had no fear, then I might make some stupid decisions. So fear keeps us safe, but doubt's a different story altogether. Doubt is what cripples us. Doubt is what prevents us from starting that business, making more money, asking out that guy or that girl. It prevents us from simply feeling good in life. I would say that 90% of our life is controlled by doubt. Fear is a different thing. We need fear. But doubt, do we even need it? So imagine this, you've taken this pill and you're unable to feel doubt ever again. What will be different for you? How will you show up differently? And how excited will you be about the day ahead? And by the way, I'm excited about sharing this with you because it's such a game changer. It completely transformed how I look at my own life. It gave me a different perspective, and I wake up every single day, and I mean this, I wake up every single day and I run through this process, and what I'm noticing is that I've gone from having to consciously go through this process to automatically going through this. So it becomes unconscious competence. So the more you practice it, the more it becomes the new you. You can shift into that identity where you are achieving what you want to achieve effortlessly, having fun along the way, and living the life you're meant to live. So without any delay, let's get into it. We got to look at this from a perspective of that you have how you feel, and then you have what happens. Okay, so you have the events and then how you feel about the events in life. This is the way that we're going to illustrate this today. So when you wake up in the morning, you might wake up and say, well, I'm fairly neutral, so you're going to be here. Yeah, you wake up and you think, okay, today's going to be a great day. I'm going to set myself with a positive intention, so you start to feel good. Wonderful. Okay, so you're feeling pretty good for the day. But then something happens. Let's say you've got no coffee left, and then you go to get in the car and there's a load of traffic on the way to work. So now you're running late for work. Somebody cut you off on the motorway as well. By the time you get to work, already, how are you going to be feeling? I'm not saying you necessarily, maybe you handle this differently, but most people, they're controlled by the events in their life. This is all going to make perfect sense as we get into this video. And then you open up your bank account and you've been paid an extra $1,000 or £1,000. You think, wow, I've got this bonus. That bonus came through that I wanted. So of course, the event happens and you say, well, I feel good about this. Forget the traffic this morning. Forget the fact that somebody cut me up on the motorway. I feel good because I've got an extra £1,000 in my account. But then your boss calls you in and says, listen, we're really sorry about what I need to tell you, but that extra £1,000, you know that you're being paid by performance now. We got it wrong. The accounting team got it wrong. We actually need to take that money back because it wasn't meant to be into your account. It's meant to be into somebody else's account. We need to take it back in order to pay them. I know that this might not ever happen, but just play the game here. How are you going to feel that you've got this extra £1,000 into your account and now you've just lost it? Now, bear in mind, you never had it, right? Because it was never yours in the first place. So let's play this game even further and say your boss sits you down and says, also, we've been looking at your performance and we need to reduce your pay. Again, this is not a real life scenario, but we're just playing the game here. So now, not only do you lose that £1,000, you're going to lose another $1,000 or £1,000 because they're going to deduct $2,000 from your salary. So you're probably going to walk out, be pissed off, be angry, but this is the reality for most people in life. The event happens, then we decide how we're going to feel about the event. And if that event is in our mind is good, exciting, wow, I've got a holiday, I've got paid some extra money, or that guy or that girl asked me out, we're going to feel good. But for most of the time, our days look like this. This is most people every single day. And the problem is that by the time you get home in the evening, And this is what most people do. They end up saying, I've had an exhausting day. They don't mean physically exhausted. Most people are not physically exhausted. This is very important. We're not physically exhausted. We're emotionally exhausted because we've been on a roller coaster because we've been conditioned to think wrong and feel incorrectly when it comes to our emotions, when it comes to our feelings. So instead of choosing our emotions, that's the clue. What we're doing is we're on this roller coaster throughout the day and we have these ups and downs and the adrenaline's being released, the cortisol's being released. And this is why so many of us have these issues. And very much this is how I lived my life for many years as well. When my business was making money, amazing. When I got a new client, amazing. But then when I have a shit day, then I'm going to feel bad as well. And the more extreme this is, the more we seek short-term pleasure, the more we look out for, let me have a coffee. I used to have a joke that coffee's got me through the morning, sugar got me through the day, and then wine got me through the evening. These are all external ways to fake this feeling of a high. Does this make sense? But because it's not real, what happens is that you get that temporary high without the event. So life isn't going the way that I want. And don't get me wrong, you can enjoy a coffee, you can enjoy a glass of red wine. But when it becomes our go-to to get out of pain, we're no longer looking for a positive situation because maybe we don't believe that positive situation exists anymore. So what we do is we fake it and we find these addictions. And this can be gambling, it can be pornography, it can be chasing validation, it can be anything. And the issue is that we're placing power outside of ourselves. And now we get into what I truly want to talk to you today about. We can place power outside of ourselves in any given shape or form, but one way that isn't talked about enough is that throughout every single day you're going to have a number of circumstances. And most people are circumstance led. The circumstance happens, then they decide how to feel about it. So if said circumstance is a good circumstance, wow, I want this to happen. It's a sunny day, it's not raining. Or I'm staying at home today and it's raining outside. What a perfect day to stay home and have some coffee and watch a movie. If this becomes the addiction, which it is for most of us because we've never considered this level of self-awareness, we are now at the mercy of events in our lives. And that's when we start to identify with those events. And the fact is, as we go deeper with this, the events that happen in our lives don't just happen. They don't happen to us. They happen for us and they happen through us. We are quite literally creating the events. So if we are feeling toxic or extremely negative about these quote unquote negative circumstances, what we're doing is we're giving them more power, so we're going to create more of these negatives. Does this make sense, right? And this is what I want to talk to you about today. How you reframe this and how you can start to practice something different is to, first of all, realize that events are neither positive or negative. They're simply events. The circumstances in your life are neither positive or negative. Now we can be more nuanced in this and say, well, what about that person who gets cancer? What about the war that's happening, different wars happening around the world? Okay, I'm not here to talk to you about those sorts of things right now, although we can go to depth of it and we can discuss it, but not right now. Bring it back to your day to day. Do you have a roof over your head? Do you have food in your belly? If so, then you're already richer than 95% of the world. So be thankful. Be grateful for what you have now and who you are today, because you are already given so much. One of the things that I remind myself of daily is that both my parents are still alive and still together. And that to me is not just one blessing to have your parents alive, a second blessing that they're still together, a third blessing that I still communicate with them, even though I live 7,000 miles away from them, but I still communicate with them on a regular basis. We have all these blessings, and I think it's easy to get caught up in the events of our life instead of focusing on, let me be me led, not circumstance led, not led by these apparent ups and downs. Because here's the funny thing, we've been conditioned to believe through consumerism, through the world that we live in today, that most events are negative. I've asked many people over the years, I do this as a workshop, and I say, write down all the events that happen in your life or have happened in the last year, all the circumstances, and quite simply label it. You have to be concise with this, positive or negative. And if anybody would challenge me and say, well, Pete, what about the neutral events? I say, don't worry about that for now. Just label the event positive or negative. And guess what happened 100 times out of 100 times? The list for positive events was very short, but the list for negative events was very long. So what did that mean? It meant that person was disempowered. And they were so disempowered, they didn't even believe that the events in their life that they were creating. You are creating the circumstances in your life. Becomes interesting, right? So what do we do differently? Well, we need to ask, if I was only capable of feeling 3 emotions per day. So this is what you're going to do. 3 emotions per day. What emotions would you choose? You were incapable of feeling any other emotions. This is how we get started to shift into this new identity, because your identity is created through the emotions that you most consistently feel. If you were only capable of feeling 3 emotions per day, they were your guiding mechanism for the day, what 3 emotions would you choose? Would you choose depression? Would you choose anxiety? Would you choose frustration? The chances are no. Why? Because you know already that those emotions, those states of mind, they're not going to help you. They're not going to empower you. Imagine feeling frustrated all the time. How much are you going to get done? Imagine feeling anxious about everything that's happening in your day. You'll be a wreck. You won't be able to leave the house. So if you get to choose 3 consistent emotions, what would they be? So for me, I'm going to write excitement. That to me is the highest one of all. You must operate from your highest level of excitement. If I wake up every day and I ask that question, which I do every single day, I'm not if, I wake up every single day and I say, how do I live from my highest level of excitement today? What can I do right now? Now, this actually happened before, and hand on heart, I was having a moment where I sat at my laptop, and I find that if I sit at my laptop too much, old patterns start to creep in. That I start to procrastinate, I start to watch YouTube videos, and I stepped away from my laptop, I sat out on my balcony for about 10 minutes, and I just breathed. And I said, what would I do if I was living from my highest level of excitement? And I sat with that. And without trying to over-strategize and overthink, and I need to do this in my business. No, what would I do if I was operating from my highest level of excitement? This video came up. I'm like, I have to do this video. This is the one thing that excites me the most right now. Make sense? So excitement, I would definitely choose. I would choose gratitude. Gratitude for me is an emotion. People say, well, gratitude, isn't that a state of mind? No, gratitude, you got to feel it through your entire beingness, in every cell in your body, in the space between those cells. So gratitude, excitement, gratitude. And I'll say calm. Now imagine that the same day happens. You wake up in the morning and you say, today's going to be a good day. You still get stuck in traffic. You still get that pay, that bonus, but then that's taken away from you. But now you're only capable of feeling excitement, gratitude, and calm. Is the day going to look like this, and are you going to be exhausted at the end of the day? I'll tell you what's going to happen. You're going to have some fluctuation throughout the day, like this. But your day is going to feel much more energized. You're going to be at peace. You're going to be at calm. And the cool thing is that in all of these situations, these events throughout the day, you're not blinded by your emotions, because the more emotions go up, the more intelligence goes down. Because you feel excited, you feel that gratitude, and you feel calm. So what are your 3 emotions that you're going to choose? Because this is the next step of it. You cannot do this as a one-off. You have to practice. The reason why we feel stress more than we should is because we practice stress every day. Because the mind doesn't give a shit if you succeed or not. The mind only cares about your survival. And because the mind only cares about your survival, most people, I say most people, 90-something percent, 98%, maybe 99% of people, they're stuck in survival mode for their entire life. And when you're stuck in survival mode, the issue is that you cannot create. You cannot operate from this place of calm. You cannot create the business of your dreams. You cannot let money flow into your life effortlessly. You are constantly looking at every decision as these events are happening to me, not through me or by me, and I'm stuck. And so therefore, I'm only going to make these short-term decisions. And that's why most of the time, and I had this for many years, no matter what I seemed to do, all the decisions I was making made my life worse. We never want to make a decision to make our life worse. Who would do that? In the moment, we make the best decision we can, with our level of awareness. But if we're not aware that we're stuck in survival mode, then we're going to make these short-term decisions that feel good in the moment and get us out of pain. But inevitably, a week, a month down the line, you're going to go, I wish I didn't make that decision. You have to shift into creator mode. And the way that we do this is to understand first and foremost, these events are not happening in my life. These events are not either positive or negative. They simply are. An event is simply an isness. There's no positive or negative. You got no money right now? That's not positive or negative. That's simply an isness in your life. It's a guiding mechanism. But if you identify with the fact that you've got no money, now you're going to be stressed about that you've got no money. Now you're going to start to believe that you are that person that is broke. Then you're going to go one layer deeper with it, and you're going to believe you're poor for the rest of your life. And it doesn't need to be that way. Because when we can shift into that new identity and say it's not about the money that's in my account, it's about how I am choosing to live my life. And I'm going to choose very consciously in advance. I'm going to choose the emotions I want to feel in advance. So what are your 3 emotions that you can practice from today? And it's not a one-off. You need to practice this every single day. Very simple to do, but very difficult to remember and to consciously choose. You know why? Because you're always going to be dragged back to this survival. Oh, I've got to survive. No. You need to shift into this place of calm. And the funny thing is, I teach sales. So this is usually what my channel is about, but I've started to open up and talk about different topics. And people say, well, you teach sales. Why are you talking about all this other stuff? Because, my friend, this is the most important thing when it comes to selling. The thousands of people that I've been lucky enough to train in sales over the last 20 plus years, I can teach them all the tools and techniques. I can give them everything they need. But if you believe that you're waiting, that not making a sale is bad and making a sale is good, and not making a sale or being an objection is bad, you are constantly at the mercy of the market. You are constantly going to feel the struggle in your business. You're constantly going to feel reactive for the rest of your life. So the main thing that I do within my community, you can check out my community below. The main thing that we do within my community, and this is the main thing that I talk to my clients about, is helping them shift into this identity, this brand new identity, where it is no longer, oh my goodness, I'm at the mercy of, fingers crossed, hopefully I'll make sales this month. Instead, I'm choosing the emotions. There is no positive or negative, and therefore everything motivates me, everything gets me excited, everything makes me grateful. And when you're in that state, you're no longer forcing sales, you're no longer convincing people to buy. Instead, you are selling effortlessly and enjoying life along the way, helping your clients. So that's enough for today. Let me know your thoughts below. Let me know what's been your guiding mechanism until this point and what you're going to do to change from today. Thank you so much for tuning in. Once again, if you've not liked, subscribed, and dropped a comment, make sure you do now. And if you're ready to take the next step with me, check out my community. We've got an amazing offer right now as I'm doing this video, and we do daily classes Monday to Friday. It is a chance to transform how you feel about sales and life overall, because it's not just about selling. It's peaceful sales, sure enough, but it's creating that peaceful life where you operate from your highest level of excitement, you feel calm in everything that you do, and you feel that you don't just feel, you're on track and on purpose with who you truly are. Have a good one. I'll see you next time.